Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar on digital pathology. But essentially, we hope that this will be an informative and helpful hour out of your busy day. So this webinar is being delivered in partnership with our corporate member, 3DHISTECH, and their UK distributor, Sysmex UK. We'd like to thank them very much for their support and involvement. So I am Professor Sarah Copeland. I'm a senior consultant histopathologist at the Liverpool University Foundation Hospital Trusts, and I have expertise in ophthalmic pathology, hematopathology, molecular and digital pathology, as well as biobanking. Our speaker today is Dr. Laszlo Igali. Dr. Igali is a histopathologist specializing in dermatopathology and gastrointestinal pathology at the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital, where he's currently the Chief of Service. Dr. Igali has a strong interest in healthcare informatics and digital pathology and has been active in the field since the 1980s. He's currently the college's Vice President for Professional Practice, and there'll be plenty of time for Dr. Igali to answer the questions after his talk. So please use the Q&A box, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll try and cover as many of the questions as we can in the time we've got allocated. So without further ado, I'll hand the podium over to Dr. Igali. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for your kind intro. Let me just try to get and share the presentation. I hope everybody can see it now. Is that right? Yep.
That's perfect. Thank you.
That's all right. Okay, welcome everybody, and thanks for giving me and Sarah your lunch hour today. I tried to give you some hopefully useful pointers for digital pathology, which is taken the world by storm. In the UK, we are significantly ahead of the game compared to other countries, while in the US, the adoption rate is low single digits. We are getting towards 35% in the UK overall. And this little presentation, which will hopefully run in the next roughly an hour, I try to talk about 35 minutes about the various things. And I would like to encourage all of you to come with your real problems, your real questions, because I think that's more important than listening to my mumblings about digital pathology, which you're probably significantly aware of. Let's do without too much ado. First of all, I'd like to thank 3DHISTECH and Sysmex UK for the invitation. That's really great that I have the opportunity to share some of my experiences with you, and no relevant financial associations to disclose. All of the things which I'm doing is nothing to do with industry. Sarah mentioned briefly, who am I? I'm a cellular pathologist and interface pathologist, skin and GI. And I like to think of myself as the diagnostic digitalist. I've been doing digital pathology truly since 2014 in the UK. We are now in the second digital pathology system at Norfolk and Norwich Hospital. We replaced Philips IMS with Sectra. That's where we are. My sort of past goes significantly further back. My first foray to digital pathology was in 1992, putting together 4 images on a microscope, a sort of image grabber, stitching them together and showing that the high resolution image grabbing provides us with better low resolution images. I've been in various fields of the healthcare informatics. Amongst them was pathologist informatics advisor for the college, and as Sarah says, now I'm the VP for professionalism. But more importantly, what is this talk about? That's why we are here. I'd like to give you some advice and probably sharpen up your system for higher efficiency and better experience. That was the underlying principle why we have been given the opportunity to go digital. I'd like to avoid the elephant traps on this journey, because I think we make mistakes and it's better to not to commit everybody else's mistakes on the way and plot a successful implementation. Some of you may know me. I'm not a super planning person. I'd like to have the helicopter view on the things, but on this one, trust me, you have to have a plan. And the other thing, which I think there's a significant amount of noise about the digital pathology, and I'd like to give you some points of distinction about distinguishing the essential and the nice to have features. Okay. What is my USP? I do have a reasonable amount of sort of professional experience in the things. I've got medicine degree, information technology, and management degree, but most importantly, I do pathology day in, day out. And for me, the measure for a good digital pathology system is how good it is in my daily practice. Just in pathology diagnostics, you take a microscope, put a slide to it, and you come up with the diagnosis. It is super simple. It cannot be simpler. Of course, we have got a paradox as well in pathology diagnostics. And for a long period of time, we didn't quite realize that this was there. And actually, I had to think about it when we started to do digital. What is the real deal in this one? And the most important thing is we have got structure versus detail in pathology. We look at low power images to put the things to where they belong, and also the details to essentially to figure out what are the finer things. And if you think about the microscope, by the way, this is the one which Anthony Leeuwenhoek designed first. Actually, the conventional microscope can only deliver either of them at any one time. And this is giving us the answer why digital is cool, because it gives you two things at the same time. It's the proverbial Boris Johnson cake and the eating. It gives you the structure and the detail at the same time. And we've never had this thing before, but hang on. All of this thing, digital is not new. Why do I say that? We have used digital for decades, actually from the start of pathology, but the scanning technology, the memory, and all of the things, the assembly was slightly different. Just think about it for 1 second. We are looking at the microscope, and in our brain, we put together the same image, what we are seeing now on the digital pathology screens, painstakingly, step by step. But when we zoom in and out, the detail is getting a little bit lost. And we are in the new world with digital when we have got the ability to get the perfect assessment of anything. However, this is not just on the level of the digital images. We have to put everything in the context of modern healthcare. What is perfection in digital pathology? We can approach this in so many different ways, but I would like to take you through my way of thinking very, very quickly. First of all, in order to do digital pathology well, you have to have an embedded laboratory information system, which is integrated with the EPR, the electronic patient record. And you should have, by today, real-time tracking. It's very important. Everybody's after us, turnaround times and prioritizing patient information, using the resources the best way. It can only be done if you use the available information. The basics include high-quality, configurable, automated scanning. These are probably slightly controversial to each other, configurable and automated, but they are both very important for these things. We have to be able to bend the technology to fulfill all of the things which you want to get out of the scanning. We need a self-contained digital diagnostic imaging system, or IMS, which should be context-aware in relation to gathering us and presenting us the patient data in an ideal world. And you will have to have a user-centric, ergonomic, customizable UI with efficient and modular workspace, as we like to call it colloquially, cockpit, digital pathologist cockpit. Quite a lot of information to unpack on this slide. We will go into it a little bit later more. If we are looking at the conventional histopathology laboratory, we have got different parts of the process. The heart of it is not digital pathology, is the laboratory information management system. And if we are lucky, we have a LIMS which is able to track. Most of the time, this is just a dream. We have got different systems at our department. We have got LabTrack at the moment, the Track Health laboratory information system, which is coupled with the Cerebro, which is like a tracking system. And these two things are giving us the basis of the LIMS tracking information. These are the two sort of first elements, and these are taking the sample. We'll go through it in a moment, from essentially booking in up to the level of processing the slide itself. The patient demographics are getting into the system usually from the patient administration or EPR systems, which we are going to change in Norwich in the next couple of years. And the sort of widely distributed order.com systems in this country, apart from the labs which are using their own order.com systems, is ICE, the Integrated Clinical Environment, which we tend to use to get the patient demographics and data from our GPs as well as from hospitals. The next step is essentially you would like to integrate into your system the cut-up and processing functions. Why do we need that? Because when we are making up the diagnosis, we need to have every bit of information what we can muster on the case. And sometimes this is information of the grossing or macroscopic pathology image, also orientation of the blocks, the inking, everything. It's all needed, especially in today's world when sometimes the pathologist who is cutting up the material is not the one who is viewing the slides. And this new word enables us to essentially to look at the slides and the digital information from the cut-up room at the time of reporting. It's very important. Not to mention integration with voice recognition, because that will take out significant amount of secretarial time to get these things on. Full tracking. I cannot mention the significance of tracking enough. This is what allows us to prioritize the things, what we can or what we can't do with different specimens. We need to make sure that all of the things which we want to have with the pathologist at the time when they need to report it, get ready for the multidisciplinary meeting for discussion. The only way to know it, especially once you hit the big magic number, which is in my experience about 25,000 specimens per year, you have to have tracking, otherwise you lose, even with the best human controlled ledger systems, you will lose track of what is going where. It's important to be able to get and identify the different elements of your workflow with light speed and make sure that you get them as and when you need it. Oh, one more thing, I just have to go back for one moment. On the right side, you see the racks. This tiny important element of your laboratory workflow has got an important significance when we are talking about digital pathology, because I do believe strongly, and this is how we design our laboratory, that the best part of it is to implement digital pathology if you are taking the racks out of your staining and cover slipping machine directly to the digital pathology scanners. And we have got the laboratory technology now available for everybody to just facilitate that. In the old days, you had to actually dry the slides to get the things through in time for the scanner, which would be scanning the dry slides. Spoiler alert, most of the scanners can do wet slides as well. We can do frozen sections with them as well without actually creating any damage to the slide scanners. But still, the best way of putting the slides from the stainer cover slipper to the scanner is without actually touching them. And also you are saving yourself the slide cleaning in the meantime. Okay. Additional laboratory work requesting should be also integrated. It could be within your laboratory software or preferably with your IMS system. Why it is important? Because you would be able to do the request on the relevant slides directly, the relevant immunohistochemistry or conventional stain, or just for basic levels as well, can be done directly from where it matters, and you don't have to do, as we currently do at the moment, to run another software in order to get the additional laboratory works passing through into the system. And in the future, which is not ready yet, but we are hoping that it will be part of the system, you will get feedback in your system on the progress of the specimen through the ALW and getting notification about when and how it will be ready. Let's have a little word about the high quality configurable automated scanning, why it is important. If you take it for sort of basics, any scanner would do the sort of norm today is the 0.25 micron per pixel resolution, which is, for context, giving you a 30 by 30 pixel sort of resolution on a red blood cell, which is quite nice. it would be great, and everything is doable. But the important elements are coming for the marginal benefits. Everybody can do this type of scanning, but in terms of what would your scanner do if it fails to scan a slide? We have some scanners from a manufacturer which essentially just stops, but we have got other scanner which essentially puts the slides aside and continues with the work. I wouldn't advocate overnight scanning, and it is a more of a contingency measure. But if you do it, and if your scanner fails through the night, you can't do anything about it unless you have got real-time monitoring of your scanner. Ability to change the objective and magnification and probably the stacking solution within the scanner is very important in certain circumstances, but can your scanner do this driven by the barcode? And also, can you capture, by definition, that stack, or more preferably what we found extremely useful, extended focus images? I will talk about it a tiny bit later. If we are going into the sort of assessment, is there a one to rule them all type scanner? And my point is probably not. As humans, the scanners will have different strength. If we are just looking at the various scanners, the nano zoomer, that was the very first we tried around 2011. It's a very robust scanner and can do various things, but it is just at the time, it was just a single magnification. We have had the Philips UFS, which is an eminently user-friendly scanner. It is a sort of put the slides in and you go. It's very good, but it has got the problem of essentially if any scanning fails, you snooked, you can't do anything more about it. Our current workhorse, one of them actually is the GT450 from Leica. Is a very easy and very sort of user-friendly scanner, but it has got almost no configurability. And our big workhorse, which you see on the left, is the 3DHISTECH P1000, is a huge scanner able to do small and big slides at any moment in time. It's highly configurable. We can do almost everything with it. And also it has got two objectives, 20x and 40x objectives, and we are getting native magnifications up to 81x on this scanner. But it requires a lot more user interaction. It's not like a go-away type scanner. You have to set up what you want from it. And on the top middle, you can see the Glissando scanner, which kind of many people dismiss for what it is. It's an older scanning technology with a sort of a big frame into which you can put two normal slides or one big slides, but it became lately my all-time favorite for dealing with difficult slides. Can you imagine? You can put in a broken slide and you can still scan it with this scanner. Or you can do the scans which the automated scanners are unable to do by manually adjusting all of the focus points. It saved the bacon many times. And not to mention the other things, which is sort of we tend to ignore in the top right corner, which is going to be the finance factor, the KFBIO scanner, which is coming from China. They are getting it better and better with every iteration, and they are on the footsteps of the Western manufacturers, and obviously the price is significantly lower. Just watch out for those scanners as well. When we are going back to the sort of next step, the self-contained digital imaging diagnostic system, with context-aware patient data presentation and integration. It is a mouthful, but I hope every word has got some meaning in this sentence. Yes, we need to have the IMS, but best IMSs are giving you patient data at the same time. And it could be just as simple as your request form up to the précis of the digital imaging from radiology or different other areas from your patient administration system like clinical letters. These are all saving your time to access to clinical information. And even the little things which are inside the system, when you look into the IMS, and it is picking up all of the patient's previous attendances at the hospital, giving you the previous histology report is a time saver. And also because our system runs on the NHS number and integrated with all of the surrounding hospitals, I could see their slides and not at the moment, but shortly their data as well, which saves a significant amount of time on requesting slides. Lately, when we did meetings with them, we used to wait for the glass slides to come over, and essentially we got the reports that we were waiting for the slides. And these slides were not available for the meeting. Now I can go ahead and I can access the slides because they scanned it in the neighboring hospitals, and with the reports coming over, these meetings can be really fulfilled. The pathologist should be in the center of the workflow and the IMS, in my view. Obviously, the patient is the most important element, but if we can drive the workflow and the pathologist will use the IMS to its completely full potential in integrated reporting, it's significantly easier for us to come up with the relevant diagnosis. We have got a ton of different tools now. We have got multi-image view, synchronize, and annotations, which can be, in inverted commas, favorited for the multidisciplinary meetings, enabling us to jump on the relevant parts of the images very, very quickly, or doing Ki-67 counts on any part of the image, or doing measurements, mitosis count. It's very important to have all of these image elements rather than the AI in the image processing arena, because these are the things which you do use every day with every specimen, almost what you are doing, and it makes life significantly easier. The end of the workflow is usually when you automatically integrate all of your results, the immunohistochemistry, the macroscopic and microscopic images together with other findings. And if you have got teleconsultation, this is the time when you can couple it in. One important element for teleconsultation, which many people sort of overlook, is your digital pathology system able to teleconsult with somebody outside your system? Many of the systems are allowing you only consult with people who can log into your system. And if you've got a closed system with VPN connection and specialized computers, good luck with it. It needs to be done through HTTPS, cloud-based, or essentially external consultation. The next level of getting the integrated reporting is not just having the histopathology and the images, but probably the genomics and everything. That's a different story. But having the histology report, the collation for all of the things which are related to any patient or any diagnostics would be really the end goal. Let's talk about a little at the user-centered customizable UI and efficient modular workplace with ergonomic and anti-fatigue features. Okay, that's another mouthful, but I will try to sort of elaborate on what does that mean. Okay, this was my office some time ago, and you can see that it's quite crowded, partly Starship Enterprise-like. First of all, on the top, the blue one is the Cerebro little screen with the tracking system. And my 4 screens, the first one, the big one, is for the digital pathology image. On the right side, the limbs, and the monitor is standing up. Just a very quick sort of reminder, the monitor is in portrait mode because most of our documentation in A4 format, and I can see the whole report on this. That's why it is sitting that way. On the left side, I have got the additional laboratory work request software, which we are using in an Excel-based way. And I have got my, with slightly big word, clinical decision making system, the decision support systems and clinical data on the left side of the screen. My daily driver side is 6 degrees of freedom mouse, which is the 3D connection, very, very useful. And in the past, I was using the dual scroll wheel mouse on the right side, enabling a rotation on the thumb scroll wheel, not the top one. I also procured some pedals from an macro workstation, but now I've sort of done slightly away with this one to initiate some macros and or switching off the microphone. Yes, I still have a microscope, and the most important element is the coffee there. Ergonomic things to make your life slightly easier. You may see that I have got my window blinds drawn because it's a sort of southwestern facing office, and in the afternoon everything is super bright. and the screen would give me immense amount of reflection. However, if you tilt it about 20 degrees away from you, you will eliminate significant amount of the reflection, and also it's kinder on your neck. And this is the photo I have taken for you yesterday of my office. This is the next iteration of the digital pathology workstation with a few more gadgets which I will elaborate on, but the basic setup is the same. First of all, I have got two screens from the sector IMS, the demographics patient data on the top. The bottom line is the whole slide image. The clinical data are still in the lab track in a full report portrait mode, and this monitor is rotatable for cytology reporting, which we still do on microscopy, and you can see the other elements to go with it. The additional lab work reporting still happens on the other screen, and I put in my support systems, which are including AI and clinical key from Elsevier. I have got still the 6 degree of freedom mouse. I integrated a stream deck for the image management system control. These are single button LED customizable buttons taking on the digital pathology system functions, measurement, and all of the things can be, or annotations can be initiated from this little device. Very convenient. I don't have to hover all over the images. When we are looking at the other elements, I still have conventional mouse, which has got this thumb wheel, and I've got a 2D barcode scanner. One stop here for a moment. The current slides probably in your lab as well do have two-dimensional barcodes, data matrix most of the time. Why it is important, I can scan the form, I can scan the slides at the same time, and I'm not missing the numbers, which is my main vice with all of those things. I have got on an arm a Power Mic 2, which is the voice recognition for Dragon, and the unlabeled microphone, which is underneath, is the one which you can hear me now on for the video conferencing, as well as the webinars, which you can't see in the dark that much. I reduced my pedals down to one of the Olympus programmable USB pedals, which is essentially recycled from our dictation machines, which we are not using anymore. I can wholeheartedly recommend to anybody. It's very easy to program buttons onto these things, and it makes life significantly easier. One more thing, which is sort of, I don't want to advertise at all anybody, and it's not Her or His Majesty's Aaron Chair, it's Herman Miller, but I found this thing one of my best sort of mates in the office. This is what keeps your back really, really sane. And you have got on the right side of the screen a secondary mouse mat. When I'm doing cytology report, I just move my mouse to the other side. I pull the microphone slightly closer, turn the monitor, and I'm also in my secondary workstation to do cytology reporting. Obviously, we still have got the steam gauge diagnostics enabled with a microscope, and we have got a video conferencing camera on the top, as well as an old school video camera, which I use for contingency. Should the digital go down, I'm still able to share my images. And obviously, the coffee is still there. We went through all of these things, and the important message from this all is you have to have an integrated end-to-end system. This is currently a wishful dream. Nobody does a complete system for pathology because the LIMS suppliers are not venturing into IMS or essentially creating cockpits and US. Tracking is a completely different business. LIMS and tracking probably merges slightly more. And the IMS companies are not into laboratory information management system whatsoever. The closest what you can get probably is 3DHISTECH's universe, in which the different elements are present and they are very tightly integrated. They need a little bit work on making sure that it is fitting the UK market, but I think this is the closest I have seen in terms of getting all of the elements together and producing an end-to-end system. You start to hear now everybody's talking end-to-end. But how to get there? What are the things which I would like to recommend for you? You need to know your targets, what you would like to achieve, because many people may not want to do full digital integration. We have got some pathologists who are close to retirement and they don't want to be engaging with digital. All that said, our most fervent digital pathologists are the older generation who realize how much time they can save with digital. You need to prepare. I cannot tell you enough. You have to have detailed planning for the best sort of scenario. I did not mention, probably I should have started with all of those things. Backfill, essentially making resources for somebody or the department where you are working when you are changing your system and learning everything, because balancing this learning process with your business as usual is not going to work. I can tell you straight off the bat, we have to have resources pulled into the system. And more importantly, once you are moving around with the digitization and getting everything together, you will inevitably hit a few buffers, and you have to leave a couple of doors open, be ready to flex and pivot around all of the things what you are able to do. It helps if you have got a realistic timeline, not a wish list, because otherwise everything will train wreck into each other when different projects are happening at the same time. You need to know the subject. I think that's probably a failure for me as well. I'm not knowing enough about digital networking in order to solve all of the issues. That's where our issues were, mostly with the implementation. Because if you don't know your limitations, you don't know the know-how behind everything, you are unable to converse with your IT department, who is going to be either your best friend or the staunchest enemies in this process. It's important to find the right tool for the job. You have to find the right scanner, the right software, and the right voice recognition for your project. This is a multiple sort of choice game. You have to figure out what fits you best. And one more word, integration is essential. When we are looking at the integration elements, this is the glue which holds everything together. Your success depends on the success of integration. Ergonomic and anti-fatigue measures are very, very important. I cannot emphasize that bit, which is overlooked. Our fatigue, compared to normal microscopy, represents itself or presents itself significantly differently in digital. You will have a sort of probably 30 to 40 minute screen time after your eyes are getting tired. You are looking at a lot bigger screen, a lot more things at the same time. You have to adapt your work flow to accommodate this. My monitor tells me every 45 minutes you have to have a cup of coffee. I would wholeheartedly recommend this thing for you as well. One of the elephants in the room is storage and archiving. It needs significant amount of planning, and don't believe every word they say to you. It is not as expensive as it was some time ago. And I used to say at the early beginning stages of digital pathology, and it's not technology what made digital pathology available, but essentially the falling prices of storage. That's what made it possible, because our images are massive. And one more tiny tip from me. When you are moving to digital, use this opportunity to tidy up your own workflow, which you have been sort of suffering from for a period of time. This is giving you an excellent excuse to make it work significantly better. I like to give you a few points on the most important aspects: hardware, software, the workstation, workflow automation, AI. Hardware, the scanner is important. You have to have resilience, and I would like to use the scanners. We have got 4 different types of scanners in our lab. Each one of them does things slightly differently, and each has an ace feature which the others don't have. Build a system in which you can have different scanners, and we have got scanning capacity for everything within the day practice, and we leave the night scanning for contingencies. Cloud storage is very important, but be aware of the retrieval times. Reliable network, I cannot emphasize it enough. You have to have significant amount of bandwidth. Fiber optic is almost essential. Workstation grade PCs are also important. We don't get recognized by the IT departments. Discrete graphics card is almost essential for digital pathology. Yes, you can do digital pathology on a tiny screen, but you can't do it on big screen without a discrete graphics card. Software, you need to scan to cloud. You have to have a real VNA. That's important when you are selecting your vendor. You have to have a vendor who is able to release your images when the marriage is broken. You need a multi-format slide viewer in order to enable to view different types of slides in their native format. And also you need to have an archiving strategy. Hopefully it is AI assisted. Diagnostic workstations, obviously monitors, it's important the size and the number, the pointing devices, other devices, microphones, and the chair and sit stand deck. Monitor, the bigger the better. If you are looking at, and I will show you an illustration of this one, if you look at an 8K monitor at 55 inch, which is my favorite sort of size on it, a full 4mm skin biopsy, you will see it at 20x magnification. It's magnificent. You don't have to zoom, move around. It makes life easier. How many monitors? I think 2 is a minimum. 4 is a little bit of an overkill, but I think 4 is really, really good for digital pathology. And just to bust a myth, we don't need medical grade monitors. These are for rich radiologists who have too much money to spend. And this is a picture, and if you sort of look at this thing, it's an 8K picture of a 4mm skin punch biopsy at 20x. You can't even see the resolution. It's about 8,000 by 4,000. It's 33, close to 33 megapixel. This has got all the details what you need. And if you look at this thing on a 55-inch monitor from about 70 centimeter, you will see everything what you need to make up your mind, and you don't have to move around, zoom in or zoom out on this thing. That's why digital is great. A couple of devices, the 3D connection, it's a mini joystick, but enables you to move around without RSI wheel mouse, the previously mentioned Stream Deck with the different icons on it and the pedals, all of these things. And I did mention the chair. Sit stand desk are also important. My desk, which it wasn't apparent from the photograph, it can be lifted together with all of these Malaki and computing. It's very helpful because you can have your back and your legs better. Workflow automation. You would like to have all processing tracked. You would like to have a little bit of an anticipatory AI built into the system. Workload sharing and balancing, automated slide storage, everything is really great. AI. Large language models are not there yet in pathology. They behave like stochastic parrots. You can have a conversation, but they are not learning for that matter. The diagnostic AI probably work only on pre-selected samples. You have to tell the breast AI that this is a breast cancer, and the prostate AI, this is a prostate cancer, even before you start to work. It needs a bit of development. And I think AI, I would like to do the things which I don't do terribly well, doing the measurements, counting, sense checking, and QA, which is coming on. But I'd like to remind you, context is everything. I remind you of this little sort of tale about what to use to write in space in the lack of gravity. And, the American solution was the Fisher space pen, lots of development, lots of money. Our Russian friends took up the Karandash, which is a pencil, and it worked perfectly well in space without too much things. I like to encourage your thinking about it. A couple of things, and I will finish shortly. What the DigiPath experts are not telling you. Color fidelity doesn't matter as much because we all perceive colors differently, and our eyes have it. They have the ability to adapt. Medical grade monitor is a myth. We don't need it. Radiologists do because they have got grayscale. Harmonized and aligned workflow probably makes more effect on your digital workflow together with the integration than any technology. And most importantly, set up the basic digital pathology before you go AI, get AI end-to-end first. The 3 things to take away from this little presentation today. Technology on its own does not matter much, integration does. End-to-end system and streamlined workflow are your bigger things in digital pathology, and pay attention to the UI and ergonomics. Everyone will thank you. With that, I like to finish with my little sort of made-up quote. Pathology is art and science. Science is to ask the right questions at the right time and keep asking them until the right answer appears. The art is to recognize it. And with that, thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will give you the screen back for the QA session.
Okay.
Just one moment.
That's
Stop sharing. Okay, thank you.
Well, it's fantastic, Laszlo. A fantastic overview and a summary of all of the things, tips and tricks that you've learned in setting up your system. So we've actually got quite a few questions. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get through all of them, but I'll try and cover as many as possible. So the very first is, how do you find the quality of section cutting affecting the scanning?
Easiest answer, thinner sections work significantly better. 3-micron sections are probably the best for digital pathology, but these are difficult to produce within the lab. 3 to 4 would be very well. The quality of the sections is the wrong answer I gave. The most important part of the quality is the thickness of the slide. Obviously, we can compensate for the colors and everything, but if it's too thick, it's literally very difficult to get good digital images.
Okay, thank you. How can we optimize scanning for referral material from various different hospitals, which is processed in different ways?
You don't need to. I think it is important. Leave it to the pathologist. We recognize the things. Once you have got, just take it. We have got the slides coming from different hospitals, which are different in color. We deal with it.
Okay.
The digital, they do the same thing. We will be able to deal with it. Although I'm just slightly over, how shall I say, generalized, because you can normalize staining in various different ways. But I think at this moment in time, we have to focus on getting the digital pathology in, and later on, we will probably be able to standardize staining as well.
Great. Next question. How do you avoid having to clean the slides before scanning?
Putting them from the cover slipper directly into the scanner. And one more thing which I would like to sort of get to everybody's attention, not the goo which is creating the smear on the lenses, but is the wax pellets. And think about it, wax pellets, you can think of the glass part of the slide, but you don't see them on the white label. Clean the whole slide. And what we do industrial cleaning on this thing, put the slides into one slide holder, to clean them with a cloth. We tip it over to an identical thing on the other side and clean the back. Both of them should be wax-free before you put these things on, and it enables you to do quick sort of cleaning on mass slides.
Okay, thank you. So how much delay does it cause for the integration of digital scanning in the lab, and particularly for cases which are urgent that should be out by 11 a.m.?
Okay, we deal with them differently because that's where the tracking is important. If we know that they need to be coming out, all of our scanners are able to interrupt the workflow and scan it immediately. The delay depends on how long it takes to put it into the carousel. It's usually a small amount, and you can calculate the slide scanning time for an average slide under 1 minute. That means it's not huge, the delay. With all of those things we are able to do, and we are able to do scanning for the multidisciplinary meetings on the same day should a new case come around.
Okay, another sort of logistical question. How do you allocate cases? Can anyone pick up any case, or do they have to be allocated by someone with admin rights?
It is a difficult question. It is more of a departmental workflow question than digital pathology. Most of the digital pathology systems enable to put them into a personalized workflow, i.e. you can allocate to pathologists, specialty-specific workflow, or cancer, non-cancer specific workflows. We tend to use a third sort of option. We use exit allocation in Norwich, but it means that the specimens are allocated only when they leave the lab, and we put a point system, which is the college point system, and allocate to the pathologists who are available in that specialty and have points to fill. One thing, though, which is going against this grain, the big specimens, what you are cutting out, you will have a bit of point allocation in the system, which is run on a weekly basis for you to get those specimens, but you will not get them allocated to you until the specimen is out of the laboratory, which enables us to essentially to use our pathologist for the best effect.
Right, thank you. From Sebastian Brandner, does your IMS perform mitotic count or is this manual?
No, and I thank you very much, Sebastian, for this question. I was waiting somebody would ask this because I think it is important, as Einstein said or attributed to Einstein, that you count what counts and not what is countable. We always want to have the holy grail of mitotic counting AI, which is extremely difficult because, as you probably know by now, mitosis came in different shapes, sizes, and everything. And I'm a lot better. I tend to think I'm a lot better to recognize mitosis than an AI. However, the counting is important. And what the sector does essentially, when I go over 40x magnification and I activate the mitosis counting tool, I click on individually all the mitosis I see on the screen and move on to the next screen with my tiny mouse. And what it gives to me, it expresses the mitosis per square millimeter and highlights also the area which I have done. And probably whoever using Sectra is aware of this feature. This is the best things. Don't give me an algorithm finding the mitosis because still I have to go there and verify. I saved probably negligible amount of time, but give me a tool which does the clicking and the counting and you're done. This is one of the things, but that's what we use.
Right. Okay. In your opinion, is it worth investing in digital reporting without an IMS or EPR integration?
Yes, definitely, because integration will come and most of the things are going. Um, uh, Most of the digital pathology systems do have a little hidden feature, which is this diagnostic window or diagnostic report type thing, which you can pull on the IMS. And this is your rudimentary reporting system. You dictate the report into it with a plain vanilla Dragon, and you use copy and paste to your system. And even if you don't have integration, this thing is significantly better than not having anything at all.
Right. Sebastian, you're going to have to forgive me. You've written a number of questions, but I'm going to just go to one which I think a number of us are considering is, do you scan cytology and are you successful with low cellularity samples?
Yeah, okay. Officially, the answer is no. Unofficially, yes, we do scan. Essentially, the ATX scanning is really, really good for liquid-based cytology specimen, and it's incredible, better than histology. However, low cellularity samples are a little bit tricky, and for that matter, we have got another sort of tool in the tool chest, which is the extended focus. What it means really that the computer will decide one level of focus, but I tell it to move the focal depth above and below 1 micron. And because of the depth of focus is covering significant amount, if I move the focus up and down at every point when the scanner is doing this job, I will have 3 different images which the computer can compress into one, and it will pick up things. And that's what we are using, for example, for Helicobacter and asbestos bodies. It works very well, and it also works well in cytology. The image is slightly weird, but you can adjust your mental thinking about it, and it works really well. Cytology is good, and essentially, I think that's the next frontier which we will use the digital pathology for.
Well, Laszlo, we've got so many questions. We're not going to get through them, I'm afraid.
We'll try. We'll try.
Okay. Thank you for the great session. Are you able to share which AI tools you're using and what for? Perhaps I'm just wondering if you might be able to write a reply to this question and send it in to Penny, and then we might be able to
Yes, we will get some of these things probably better. Yes. We are sort of step back slightly now from AI. We used one AI, but due to the things which the AI in general needs, i.e. a lot of work on a huge amount of samples, not just training sets. I think this is not the time yet to jump onto the AI bandwagon. In a couple of years, definitely yes. And I cannot pick out any single AI. Almost all of them do the job. And what I propose to everybody, put 2 AIs onto your system and put them against each other. If they come up with the same answer as you, you've got yourself a winner.
Okay. Another says, very impressive office. How do you get the funds for all your gadgetry?
Yeah, that's kind of a different story because that the credit goes to my wife, who understands that we need a 55-inch 8K television at home for pathology reporting, and it is true, really. I use it for reporting. I don't watch too much TV. All that said, all of this gadgetry is not the expensive realm of the things. My most expensive thing, which I picked up, is the top monitor, which is a Barco, which nobody wanted to use because it's relatively small and low density monitor. The underlying monitor, my main monitor, is a BenQ. I don't want to make any advertisements for anybody, but for £500 you can pick up a decent 32-inch 4K monitor, which is color calibrated. It's not the end of the world, and if you are lucky, you go out for a 55-inch Samsung telly, which is perfectly good for 8K. It's about £800 now. It's on sale. Just you didn't hear from me. It's all good.
Great.
Anyway.
Ideal distance from the large screen?
I did measurements. It's about 3/4 of a meter, 70 to 75 centimeter. That's where I'm sitting, which enables you to have the right kind of field of view without moving your head too much, but able to see everything and not having a pixelated view. That's really, really good. You look at the television, which I'm using as a monitor, differently when you are using it in digital pathology mode than when you are looking at these things as a television. You have to be away from it, but you can go quite well close to it and do it, and that works really, really well. Enables the extreme details, what you don't even appreciate on the telly, but appreciate on pathology.
So I think you've already addressed the question of H&E staining, so we might skip that one. This Nancy Kasongo, who contacted from Zambia, she'd very much like to be able to make contact with you. So I guess
yes,
Penny,
through the college, yeah,
sending the information for that. How do you consolidate the differences in color profiles of the scanned images coming from different scanners?
Okay. We started with Philips, and essentially Philips is not a big fan of essentially altering images. You can set up the different scanner profiles and the gamma and the color specifically. However, this monitor I'm using, the BenQ, was the victim of my buying spree because it has got a user configurable color profile. You can have different color profiles, and I'm not setting the scanner, but setting my monitor's color profile to my liking. And depending on what type of scanner I'm using, I can jump between the different profiles. It's easy, and it doesn't require interaction with the software at all. And you can do whatever your heart's liking, and everything will stay the same for you.
That's great. A question regarding sort of future-proofing of digital pathology and the IT technology. I mean, how obviously, everything becomes out of date very quickly.
Yes.
So how can we future-proof the NHS if we're going to be introducing or have introduced digital pathology into many of the centres already?
Okay, my top tip for this one would be don't buy your scanners. Okay, use it as SaaS or IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Rent them from the companies because you would like to have to rent scanner capacity. That's how we run our many service contract in the laboratory. We're getting our kit replaced ever so often, 5 years or so with the latest technology, which enables us not to own the junk in inverted commas when they are going out of fashion. And one more top tip, not all of us are in the opportunity and situation that you can do this sort of renting or leasing type things. But what is really good with the older scanners, you can use them to a different task. And that's what we had. We had the Glissando and the Philips long time ago, and we didn't quite use them as much as now because they were not comparable speed-wise. But I found for the Glissando the niche to work for broken slides and manually configurable, difficult to scan slides. And we found the good use for it. And that's kind of one of the future proofing. And also these gadgets, although you may not use them regularly, if you get them serviced, if your fancy new equipment goes down, you can still switch on the good old microscope, scanner, whatever. We try to have different levels of redundancy, and I think that's part of future proofing. One more thing for the future proofing from the software side, almost everything happens to be on the net these days. If it's a browser-based software, you are significantly easier to update and continue working with it, and cloud processing and cloud storage is the way to go.
I really have to only choose two or three more questions. So a couple of people have asked, do you scan in at 20 times or 40 times?
Okay, that's a good question. Everybody tells you we are scanning at 40 times, but in real time, this is a 20x lens with a 1.6 magnifier. That's what gives you the 40x images. Very few scanners scan 40x. The reason for it is if we are scanning at 20x, we have got a quick, big depth of field, which makes quite a lot of things in focus. If we are going to 40x, it's a quarter the depth of field. Therefore, your image is not going to be that great. You will gain in resolution, but depth of focus is going to kill all of it. Plus, it's significantly longer time. Therefore, I suggest everybody go with the 20x scanners, but the image what you will see, the native scanning thing will be 40x, and Philips UFS, Aperio, and all of the others are running at this magnification.
Right. So a question from Jakob Kuzuz in Jordan. With respect to microorganisms, how well is it? Can you pick up microorganisms with digitized images?
Okay, it's important. The two things come to mind: Helicobacter and TB. You need extended focus images for most. The other thing which you can do is you can direct your ZNs or the HLO stains if you use it with ordinary Gimsa to scan automatically at higher. If you have got an alternate 40x objective scanner, you can direct to scan it higher. But my sort of personal experience is we scan it at extended focus when we are scanning 3 images at the same time, and it's just probably 1.5 times more the scanning time. Instead of 1 minute, it's 1.5, but it gets us this picture. And my sort of personal measure for the scanners and the effectivity of digital pathology, I put my own rules onto the game. One of them is if I can see Helicobacter, the resolution is right. If I can see eosinophils in the skin straight, the colors are right. And if my colleagues are consulting with me on digital rather than glass slides, the digital pathology is established at my department.
Right. I'm really sorry, but I think we have to leave it here now. Laszlo, I just wonder, I mean, you've received the list of all of the different questions. If you wouldn't mind following this seminar, going through them and perhaps seeing which ones you could answer.
Definitely. And I think if we can get the answers to these questions into a document with Penny, I think we can probably share that one as well. And I'm more than happy to share the presentations with all of you. I sent a link to the PDF to Penny, who will distribute everything to everybody. And probably I will use the same thing to put the answers to the questions. As far as I know, I'm not promising that I can answer everything because it's a very difficult and wide-ranging subject, and I'm just one of the little cooks in the game, but I try.
Great. So just a note from Penny saying we can provide the questions via email to Laszlo, and then he can reply to the ones that we haven't been able to answer.
We'll do that.
So with that, Penny, I don't know whether you're going to be providing the last slide, but I'd just like to thank everybody for joining in to this webinar. I hope you've all found it worthwhile. We'll be emailing everyone a feedback form, so please do fill it in, as it will help shape our program of educational webinars going forward. We'll also circulate a recording of the webinar, which will also be uploaded to your YouTube channel. Laszlo, one thing is that there was a comment regarding the abbreviations. Where you've perhaps provided abbreviations on the slides, but you haven't explained what those abbreviations are. If you wouldn't mind writing them also out in full.
Yeah, I will do that one. Sorry, it's just the jargon to go with digital pathology. We have been in it for a long time, and I always forget that not everybody is as geek as I am. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Laszlo, and thank you all for joining. And with that, I wish you all a very pleasant rest of the afternoon. Okay, bye then. Bye.
Bye-bye.